everyone, my name is Ezra and welcome to I Heart Romance, where I talk about anything romance. So you may have been wondering why I was MIA for like the last few weeks or so. And yes, I've only uploaded 2 videos. I actually recorded a few other videos, but this was the month, last month was the month that I really did not like to edit videos or even to blog. So I have been neglecting my blog for the most part. Um, well, on the plus side though, I was able to read quite a bit and I was actually reading out of my comfort zone. So, which why I wanted to do this video, it's going to be like an August haul. And some of the books that I'm going to share I've read and others that are still on my TBR pile. So let's start with the ones that I purchased. First up is A Lady Never Surrenders by Sabrina Jeffries. This is the last book in the Hellions of Halstead Hall series, and this is actually a reread for me. I think in June and July I was reading rereading the series. Well, actually I re-listened to the series on audiobook and I enjoyed it. So out of the 5 books, I've read 3. I deliberately did not read book 2 um, and book 4. So I read 1, 3, and 5. So it is an audiobook and there were different narrators. So it was interesting. Again, I liked it. So next, the next book that I purchased was The Hookup by Kristen Callahan, which is I absolutely love. So I'm not a fan of sports. I'm also not a fan of football, but this sports romance was perfect. This is a new adult romance in the vein of Elle Kennedy's Off Campus series. And this is actually the first book in the series. So it actually reads more new adult than adult, which I actually like. I enjoyed. Um, and this will probably not be my last in this series. Also, interestingly, Kristen Callahan wrote a steampunk series that I absolutely enjoyed. And I was reading a lot of steampunk like in late July. So that started my love for steampunk. Um, so the last book that I purchased, well, it was not a book. The last audiobook that I purchased was When Dimple Met Rishi by Santa Menon. And this has been on my TBR for a while now, and I'm still waiting for the perfect time to listen to it. So, if you don't know, I am a mood reader, and right now I'm not in the mood of reading YA. So I think for the last 4 months, maybe for the last 4 months, I have been reading more adult and new adult books. So for now, I have it with me, and when the mood strikes, then I can listen to it. So, those were the books that I actually purchased. Now let's move on to the arcs that I requested or received. So, I hardly receive physical advanced reader copies, so I was really surprised that I received Duke of Desire by Elizabeth Hoyt in the mail a couple weeks ago. So, this is my arc, and this is book 12 in the Maiden Lane series, and it is set to release in October this year. So, to be honest, I haven't really read a lot of the Maiden Lane books, but I've read, I think, a couple in this series. And because historical romance, you can read the books as a standalone, so it wasn't really a problem for me. I think the one that I really liked was, I forgot the title, but it was really good. It featured a blind hero. So it kind of had like a Beauty and the Beast vibe too, so which is good. And so anyway, thank you to Grand Central Publishing for this copy. I will be reading this month. So next I want to talk about the electronic galleys that I received. And the first one is A Daring Arrangement by Joanna Shoup. And this is the first book in the 400 series. And this is a book that I've been super excited about because I love reading about the Gilded Age. And with historical romance, we hardly have any set during this time, and of course set in New York. So this is a very refreshing one. And incidentally, Joanna Shoup had a series, had a previous series that it was actually the Gilded Age series, and although I didn't really like some of them, I absolutely love Baron. I think it was like the third or fourth book in that series, and I absolutely loved it. So I'm super excited about this book. Um, the next arc that I received is The Scott Beds His Wife by Kerrigan Byrne, and I'm currently reading it right now, and it's actually the fifth book in the Victorian Rebels series. And this one features Gavin St. James, the Earl of Thorne, and Samantha Masters. She's an American masquerading as an heiress, and it's really interesting. I think I'm like a few chapters in. It's really interesting, and we get a background of Gavin, and he is the youngest brother in was it the for the hero from the first book. So I'm absolutely horrible with um, character names. I can't remember them, but yeah, I think he is the youngest brother of the hero in the first book. Um, and although this series is a hit and miss for me, I absolutely loved The Hunter, which is the second book in the series, and so I'm pretty excited about this. And from what I've read so far, it's pretty exciting. Plus Samantha is a very unconventional heroine, so I'm super excited about that. Next is The Seeking by C.L. Wilson. I mean, this is the second book in the Weather Mages of Mistral series, and this is the much awaited sequel to The Winter King. I actually read The Winter King earlier this year, and I was shocked. It was amazing. This was the first fantasy romance that I read. And I like fantasy. I mean, I read a lot of YA fantasies, but for romance fantasy books, I haven't really read it. And the one that I started to read, The Promise of Fire, I actually listened to it on audiobook, and I had a hard time getting into it. So maybe that book I will probably read, get a ebook copy or a physical copy. But I did listen to The Winter King, and I was amazed. It was amazing. I loved it. And so I'm super excited that The Seeking is now that I got a copy of The Seeking, and this will be a book that I will be probably reading sometime this month. So anyway, this book features Gabriella Coruscant, who has the summer powers. The heroine of the first book had winter powers, and of course, the prince that we met in the first book, Dilys Myrmidon, will be the hero. I requested a number of contemporary romance arcs this month, and I don't really read a lot of contemporaries, but this month was different, and I found that I enjoyed reading outside my comfort zone. So, basically, last August, I read a mixture of historical, steampunk, but I also um, read a lot of contemporaries, and I was really surprised that I enjoyed it. But the first book is Beautiful Lawmen by Sophie Jordan, and this is the fourth book in the Devil's Rock series. And this is one that I have been waiting for since last year, since I actually read the third book, Fury on Fire. Um, Anyway, so this book features Piper Walsh. We also meet her in Fury on Fire, and she is the girl on the other side of the tracks. And Hale Walters, who we also met on the previous book, is the sheriff. And I absolutely love this book. I read it in one sitting, and oh my god, it was just so delicious, very sexy, and I actually like the interaction between Piper and Hale, and also I like the reversal of roles because usually it's the bad boy and it's the good girl, but this time Piper is like in the gray zone. She is good, but her family reputation is not really that good, and in North's book, Fury on Fire, he was actually the one watching over her and her younger sister because Cruz, what was her last name? Walsh. But Cruz Walsh was his friend in the Devil's Rock prison. So I'm hoping that Cruz will get his romance because the last book, the twist, I was not expecting that twist, but I actually kind of felt that twist. Anyway, I liked it. My full review will be up soon. So, this is one of my favorite, as you have noticed, this is one of my favorite books this year. So, next up is Love Will Always Remember by Tracy Livesay, which is the third book in the Shades of Love series. And this is actually my first Tracy Livesay book, and this won't be my last, I assure you. Um, Anyway, if you notice the cover, it features an interracial couple, and one of the things that I absolutely loved about this book is that the races of the hero and heroine weren't even mentioned. There were a few hints, like a few descriptions on the skin color, the eye color, um, but other than that, it was vague, and I absolutely loved it. It was just a romance between a man and a woman. Although I had problems with what the hero did, um, because basically this book has the amnesia trope, and I did have a hard time with what the hero did. So I mean, I totally understood what he did, but let's just say that amnesia tropes are not one of my favorites, and they're a little iffy, to be honest. Um, so anyway, the last arc that I requested is Wrong to Need You by Alicia Rye. This is the second book in the Forbidden Heart series, and I'm planning to read the first book, Hate to Want You, first before reading this. And because now I'm in the contemporary romance mood, so I probably will read this this month. Anyway, how did your August go? Did you read a lot of good books last month? Or do you have any romances that you're anticipating? Share your thoughts down below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to iHeart Romance. Happy reading! Bye!